in general, what do you do for Herman Miller?
What do I do?
What do you do for Herman Miller?
Oh, I make parts. I run a press.
And what was Mr. Willis's responsibility?
His job was to bring me supplies and take away supplies that I need. Basically a material handler.
Okay.
Yep.
Fair enough. Now, at some point in time, did you become a gun owner?
Yes, I did.
And about when was that? Do you recall?
I don't know.
All right. Well, I'll show you a document here in just a second.
I don't know when I purchased it.
Do you recall what type of gun you purchased?
A P-22 Walter.
All right. And why was it purchased?
Why?
Yeah, why?
Because my husband bought it for me.
Okay. Are you a gun person?
No.
Okay. All right, I got a couple of things I want to show you, Miss Schnotala. First, I want to show you what is People's Exhibit 191. Have you take a look at that. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
And how do you recognize it?
Because that was the gun that was purchased.
Okay, the gun that you purchased.
Yes.
All right.
That I purchased. Correct.
I'm also going to show you what is marked as People's Exhibit 207 after I show defense counsel. Hold on one second. People's Exhibit 207. I don't know if you remember filling this out or not.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Is this the purchase record for this particular handgun?
Yes, it is.
On page 2, there appears to be a signature. Is that yours?
Yes, it is.
And is there a date attached to that?
May 1st, 2012.
All right. Does that refresh your memory a little bit as to about when you
Yes.
purchased that gun?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm assuming that's your signature.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Do you remember where you bought it from?
Bought it from Gary's Guns.
Now, the gun that I showed you, is there something missing from the one that you purchased?
Yes, I purchased it with a laser sight
And where was the laser sight?
attached to the gun.
Okay. Now, I know you've kind of indicated that you weren't an avid gun person. How many times from the date that you purchased it in 2012 do you think you shot that gun?
That I did?
Personally.
Once, maybe twice.
Okay. Was there a particular, well, let me ask you this. After you purchased that gun in 2012, did you ever have any conversations at work about it?
Yes.
All right. In particular, you may not recall specifics, but what would you talk about at work about that particular firearm?
That my husband bought me a gun. That, I don't know, he just bought me a gun.
Okay.
Women usually like jewelry, but he bought me a gun.
Okay. What did you talk about? What kind of gun it was?
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
And in particular, do you ever remember or do you recall having any of these conversations with the defendant, Geoffrey Willis?
Yes.
I mean, how many times do you think you had these conversations with him?
Oof. Several.
Okay.
Over 5, I can say that. Over
All right.
5 conversations.
Now, was there a particular spot in your house that you would store that weapon?
Yes.
Where?
In the bedroom closet.
And in where in the bedroom closet?
Up on the top shelf.
Now, outside of storing your gun there, did you have a clothes basket there as well?
In the same bedroom.
Okay. And I try not to get too personal with these questions, but I mean, was that where you put your dirty clothes for laundering?
Correct.
All right. Now, what type of person were you as far as your house security was concerned? And I'll ask it this way. Would you normally lock your house?
No.
And what, in what circumstances would you lock your house?
If we were going out of town for the weekend, going to be gone overnight, several nights, we would lock the doors.
Okay. Otherwise, your house was open.
Yes.
So if you went to work, if it was a normal work week for you, your house was unlocked.
Correct.
All right. Was there ever a time that you can remember where you, or would you ever move that gun from that location in the closet?
I would move both guns, my husband's gun and my gun, when we went out of town.
Okay.
And hide them in different locations throughout the house.
All right. When was the last time you saw that gun?
The weekend of February 22nd and 23rd of 2013.
And why are you so certain of that date?
Because one of my husband's friends came into town from Wisconsin that weekend, and he took it out, brought it out to the table, and we're looking at guns.
Okay. And I'm assuming in February of 2013, that date, that was the laser sight still attached to that weapon?
Yes.
Okay. After that date, did you ever, or I guess, when was the next time you saw that gun?
At the preliminary hearing.
Okay. Now, when you store the gun in your closet or throughout your house, are you the type of person that would normally check to make sure it's there every day?
Nope.
I mean, did you even give it two thoughts?
Pardon me?
Did you even give it two, I mean, did you even think twice about it?
No.
Now, I want to direct your attention to a beginning of March of 2013. Do you recall a time in that week where you noticed snowmobile tracks at your house?
Yes.
Okay, and did that cause you any concern?
Concern as I knew somebody had been there.
Okay. And as a result of seeing those snowmobile tracks, did you talk to anybody about that?
Mr. Willis.
All right, why?
Because every winter he would snowmobile around my house.
All right.
At least once a year.
And when you talked to him about those snowmobile tracks, what did he say?
He said, yep, went out riding.
And I'm assuming, well, I mean, if you recall, you were working that particular week. Was Mr. Willis working or not working? Do you remember?
That I was working and he was not.
Is that what you remember?
Yes.
Okay. Now, at any point in time, or let me ask you this. Was there ever a point in time, from the time you last saw it in February of 13, until you saw it again at the preliminary examination, that you thought that gun was missing?
Not that it was missing, that it was misplaced.
So did you ever feel the need that you had to file some sort of theft report or anything like that?
No.
Now, you had indicated that you stored that handgun in your closet, and that's the same room where you have dirty clothes or a dirty clothes basket. I want to show you what's marked as People's Exhibit 185. Do you recognize these two pair of underwear?
Yes, I do.
And why do you recognize them?
They're mine.
Is there any reason why those two pair of underwear should be in a shed in the defendant's house?
Absolutely not.
Did you ever give him pairs of your underwear?
No, I did not.
Would you ever give him pairs of your underwear?
No, I would not.
And is there any doubt in your mind that these are your underwear?
There's no doubt. They are mine.
Okay. And recall any conversations at work where the defendant would ask you for articles of your clothing?
Pardon me?
Conversations at work where the defendant would ask for articles of your clothing.
Yes.
Can you describe that, please?
There was times that I would go up to the supply crib and I would go over to their working area and say, hey, I'm going to go up and get supplies. Do you need anything? Some people would say, I need some gloves, I need some markers. Mr. Willis always implied that he wanted my underwear.
Okay. And did that happen more than one time?
Oh, yes.
Now, did you ever comply with that request?
No.
And in essence, did it ever bother you enough that you felt that you had to take some sort of action with human resources?
No.
Has the defendant ever been to your house when you have been there?
No.
You don't, do you hang, I mean, do you socialize, I mean, do you, I guess, meet with him or hang with him outside of work in a social setting?
Nope.
Never, have you ever?
Never.
Would he have ever had any permission to enter your house without you being there?
Never.
At any point in time, did you ever give that gun to the defendant?
Never.
Did you ever show it to him?
Nope. Never.
Last question, Ms. Natalya. The person that you worked with, is that person in the courtroom, Mr. Willis?
Yes, he is.
Could you point him out and describe what he's wearing, please?
Standing at the defendant's table in a blue tie and a striped shirt, wearing glasses.
Let the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant. I have no further questions of this witness, Judge.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Now, my name is Fred Johnson. I have to ask you a few more questions.
Okay.
Now, I'm terrible with names. If I mispronounce your name, would you please correct me?
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. You worked with my client,
Correct.
and during the course of that work, you're not denying he asked you to provide him with undergarments. Is that correct?
Correct.
On how many occasions would you say that occurred?
Oh. Over 50.
Oh, okay. And the gun, did he ask for that as well?
No.
Okay. Did he ever offer to buy undergarments from you?
No, he did not.
Did he ever offer to buy the gun from you?
No.
Okay. You mentioned that your husband purchased that gun. Is that correct?
Correct.
But you're not really into guns, correct?
Oh, correct.
Is your former husband into guns?
I don't know about into guns, but he is an owner, yes.
Okay. So he has a firearm of his own, correct?
Correct.
And he had one at the time that you purchased the your gun, the Wallace.
Correct.
Okay. And how many times did he fire that gun?
Did he fire this
The
particular
Wallace.
gun?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Maybe 4 or 5.
Okay. So he fired it more often than you did.
Correct.
Also, he didn't. You went into the store and signed the paperwork for the gun, correct?
Yes.
So even though it was a gift to you, he didn't go purchase it, sign up for it, and then bring it to you. You had to go actually down to the store and get it yourself.
Yes.
Do you know why that was? Do you know why you made that arrangement as opposed to? I mean, it's a gift. Why didn't he just go buy it and bring it to you?
I don't know. That is something you'd have to ask him why he did that.
I'm just curious if you knew. Thank you. Anyone else fire that gun, as far as you know?
Not that I know of.
But it would come out on occasion when you have friends over to take a look at it?
Yes.
His friends?
Yes.
I mean, am I correct in assuming your friends are not terribly interested in a handgun?
Yes.
Okay. So when it came out, that's when it occurred. Now, my client never went to your knowledge, with your permission, went into your home. Is that correct?
Can you say that again?
My client never went into your home with your permission or knowledge, I should say?
Correct.
Okay, all right. So, and the gun and the the undergarments were found in the same closet,
In the same room.
in the same room. And those were in fact, were the two things that he expressed specific interest in with you. Is that correct?
Correct.
Was there anything else in your home that was disturbed?
No.
Nothing else was taken, nothing else was moved, nothing else was rearranged?
Nothing.
And in fact, you didn't even know the theft had occurred for, 3 years later?
Could you?
You didn't even know the theft had occurred until 3 years later.
Correct.
At the prelim examination.
Correct.
Hey, there's my gun, right?
Correct.
Okay. So, well, and can you describe again where you kept those items, the panties and the gun? Where were those kept?
In the bedroom.
Where in the bedroom?
The gun was kept in the closet on the top shelf,
Okay.
and the panties were in a laundry hamper in the bedroom.
And a stupid question. I assume there was no sign on your closet door saying, "Hey, my gun is in here."
No.
Right? Okay. All right. There was no. Even a better question. There was no external indication that guns or panties would be stored in this particular closet. Was
Correct.
There? Okay. You mentioned that my client snowmobile would drive his snowmobile around your house. Was he driving to your house and driving around it, or was that just part of this route? If you know, was there a path that is there a snowmobile path around in the area of your house, or was there a reason he was coming to your house as far as you know?
He would snowmobile around the yard.
Okay.
And then the next day at work, I would say, "Oh, I see you were out snowmobiling," and he says, "Yeah, you seen my tracks?" Ha ha ha.
Around
Laugh.
your yard.
Yes.
Okay. And then would leave. Correct? He never came in the house as far as you knew, right?
Not as far as I knew.
Okay. And you could see the tracks.
Correct.
Okay. And you saw the tracks on I guess what was it, back in I guess it was after February 22nd, right? 2013. You saw his snowmobile tracks
When?
after the 22nd.
Oh,
21st?
after it, yes.
Ma'am. Okay. All right. And I noticed, ma'am, when you were shown the gun in this case, the one in front of you there,
Yes.
you looked at it and said, "That's my gun." Right?
Yes.
Okay. My understanding is they make more than one Walther. They make more than one Walther .22 caliber pistol. And so I guess my question to you is, how is it you're so sure that that gun is the actual gun that belongs to you?
Because of the identifying serial numbers and the process that went through to be identified as my gun.
So, you don't, when you're saying the identifying serial numbers, well, let's take a step back.
Okay.
Did you see the identifying serial numbers on that gun?
No, I did not.
Okay. So, how do you know, let me ask you a direct question. Somebody told you that was your gun, correct?
Correct.
Because this is a generic gun, right? There's nothing special or unique about that gun. Someone told you that was your gun, correct?
Correct.
All right. The second question I have is the same question I have for the undergarments. Is there anything about those undergarments that are unique to those garments? In other words, my guess is Sears or wherever they were purchased made 100,000 of them in that shade and color and style. How do you said you're absolutely sure, there's no doubt in my mind, they're mine. How is that?
Because I had those pair and I no longer have them in my custody.
Okay.
My DNA is on them
Okay. How did you know your DNA was on them?
by the testing that they did.
The police told you your DNA is on them.
Correct.
And so that's how you're sure.
Yes.
Okay. So, but you didn't know, before you knew your DNA was on them, other than the fact that you couldn't find your own set of undergarments, those garments, what made you think, well, strike that, let's back question. Ma'am, isn't it true that the reason you know that gun was your gun, and the reason you know that those panties are your panties, is because you sold them to my client?
Because
You
what?
sold them to my client.
No, I did not sell them to your client.
It's just happenstance in your mind that he knows exactly where to go in your house, a place he's never been to, go right to the closet where the two things he wants from you are located. That's just coincidence to you?
I did not sell them.
I have no further questions. Oh, one more. Ma'am, you mentioned you testified at the preliminary examination, correct? In this case, you testified at the preliminary examination? Do you remember?
Pardon me?
Do you remember testifying at the preliminary examination?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Just one follow-up. Is there any reason whatsoever that you felt the need or would have the need to sell 2 pairs of your underwear and your gun to the defendant?
No. No need.
Nothing else.
You may stand down. Next witness, please.
Thank you, Judge. People in the state of Michigan call Gary Foster to the stand. I am not.
You know what, I think I'll wait till we take a break. I'll probably fall over.
Yeah.
Please raise your right hand. You swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, I do.
Please have a seat. State your name for the record.
Gary Foster.
Good morning, Mr. Foster.
Morning.
Are you a business owner?
Yes, I am, sir.
What do you own?
Gary's Guns on Apple Avenue.
I want to show you what has been marked as People's Exhibit 207. Have you take a look at that. Does that look familiar to you, sir?
Yes, sir, it does.
And why is that?
Because we sold this firearm to this person, did the background checks on it, and filled out all the paperwork.
And so, and I know it's not your signature, but your co-owner is who?
Correct. That's my wife, Peggy Foster.
Okay. And did she sign it on behalf of the company?
Yes, sir, she did.
Now, this particular, and I'll show you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 191.
Okay.
What type of weapon is that?
Walters P22.
All right.
22 caliber, 10 round, 3-inch barrel.
Now, when you sold the gun to Miss Schnotala,
Mm-hmm.
what came with it?
That gun, I verified, came with a laser equipped. It's from the factory. It comes in a case, comes with 2 magazines, and a little laser that says Walter right on it.
Now, and I don't mind if the gun's safe, obviously.
I can see it.
If you kind of could show the jury where that laser sight would have been located.
Yeah. It mounts right here and comes accordingly right down here, pretty level, and the laser would come out right here.
So it mounts under the barrel.
Correct.
All right. And that was a feature that was sold with that gun.
Yes, sir, and that was verified.
Okay. Now, I want to show you what is People's Exhibit 161. It's kind of small, so I'll just kind of throw it in your hand. Can you describe to the jury what that is, please?
It is a Walters battery cover for the Walters laser.
Okay. And it's obviously it's small because I'm assuming it
It's
has
the
to...
smallest part of the bottom where the battery would go up into it.
And what powered that laser sight?
By memory, 357 batteries.
All right.
Little tiny hearing aid style batteries.
The watch batteries.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, how do you put that back in? So based on your knowledge, that particular laser sight cover went to...
A Walters factory laser.
Okay. Now, from what you were, or I guess from either your memory or your own knowledge, being a gun shop owner, could you describe for the jury what type of force would be necessary to knock that battery cover loose?
I have broke many of fingernails taking those off, so they take some force. I mean, it's not something you need a tool for, but it does take force.
Okay. Now, I don't know. Well, I'll save that. So, just so I'm clear, is there anything different in that document, that People's Exhibit 207, that's different than what you remember?
Nope, if you don't mind, may I check serial number?
You may.
That would be the only questionable. Well, there is none no more. So I cannot verify serial number, but everything else on the document is 100% the way it would have been filed in our system.
Okay, that's okay. I've got another person that'll do that. But you bring up a great point. The serial number for that gun is located where? The most visible serial
On the side of the frame, so it's easy to see.
Okay. And obviously, could you describe what a serial number is and its importance for the jury, please?
The serial number is our way of identifying every single gun sold in this country. It allows us to, an example would be if you had one stolen, when it's recovered, we know who the original owner is. This document puts that gun to this person, and we continually get calls where the serial numbers are lost, stolen, etc. It allows us to find them. It identifies the weapon without a doubt.
Okay. So, if one were to obliterate that, what does that do?
Trying to make the gun untraceable.
Okay. And as you've already observed,
It's gone.
The most visible serial number is...
Right. Most manufacturers do put others in other spots that are typically in a manufacturing mode, but not most people would know.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Your Honor, I move for the admission of People's Exhibit 207.
Is that the handgun?
No, that is the, the paperwork.
No, just.
So what?
It's the registration.
Oh.
paperwork.
4473.
All right, received.
I have no other questions for Mr. Foster.
Good morning, Mr. Foster.
Afternoon, sir.
It's
Oh, morning, you're right.
It's
It's,
actually somewhere. But it's good morning.
Morning.
I'm Fred Johnson. I'd like to ask you a couple
Yes,
more
sir.
questions, if I may. First of all, your business is to sell firearms.
I am a gun shop owner, have owned my current location for 18 years. I've been in guns for 30 years. ATF calls me constantly for identifying guns.
Okay.
I don't want to say I know guns, but I think I do.
All right. And I'm going to ask a silly question. I'll bet at your shop you sell ammunition too.
Yes, sir, we do.
Okay. The 22 caliber ammunition, and I've heard it called 22 caliber rifle.
Long rifle.
Long rifle. Obviously, what you have there is not.
That is a long rifle calibered pistol.
Is that right? Okay. So even though the gun itself is not a rifle.
Correct. Long rifle is a term we put 90% of all 22 ammunition in our country is long rifle.
Okay.
Almost all guns are chambered for it.
And I don't know if you can speak nationally, but you tell me how popular is 22 caliber ammunition locally?
Extremely, extremely. I wouldn't know how to put a number on it, but we would probably sell 50 boxes a day or more.
Okay. Compared to other ammunition that you're selling, is that a lot or a little? Or?
It's in the average compared to regular centerfire pistol ammo.
Okay. So do you sell, and how many rounds come to?
Typically 50 into smaller boxes, 100 is your most standard.
Okay. And you sell about 50 of those a day?
An average, yes.
And this particular firearm, I assume people use it for protection?
It could be used for protection. It can be used for target practice. Multiple different uses, yes.
Okay. So it's not a hunting?
You could hunt With it, it's a shorter barrel. The short barrel handicaps it for a hunting situation.
Why is that?
The accuracy of a .22 does require typically a little longer barrel, but you can be probably proficient with a 3-inch barrel. I mean, I know people that can shoot very well with them.
Okay. So accuracy becomes an issue in terms of hunting, is that correct?
If you're,
There are more,
yes,
there are firearms that you can buy.
you can buy the most common length barrel is at 5.5 inch for a .22 because that's the most accurate barrel.
Okay. So, by correlation then, do you, now you mentioned that, I assume you're a gun owner.
Multiple.
Couple, okay, and do you compete at all? Are you,
I have in my past. I have been a competition shooter, absolutely.
How'd you do?
I did fairly well for,
I mean, I don't know what the relevance of that is.
fairly well.
The relevance is this, John. According to what the testimony we've heard, Ms. Bletch was shot under circumstances that indicate, one, that she was probably running away, and two, that she was some distance away. Therefore, the ability of the shooter to accurately shoot a person is an issue, and that's what I'm getting at with this.
I don't recall any testimony about distance away from, in fact, I think the testimony is quite the opposite, where at least 2 rounds were relatively close to where her head was. So I'm not sure where distance has ever been testified.
I think the distance is indicated by the circumstances in which the first shell was found, that is the middle of the road, by the reality that there wasn't stempling or gunpowder residue on this person. I think.
I'll allow it.
Thank you. Now, we were talking about competitive shooting. You've been involved in some competitive shooting?
Yes, sir.
And how'd you do?
Very well.
Okay. And I guess I think you know where I'm going here. With that particular gun, a person running away?
I should be able to do a 3-inch circle from here to that wall with that particular gun.
Okay. But you're a competitive shooter. How about me?
You should, after a few hundred rounds of practice, come very close.
Okay. Okay. So the more, the better shot you are.
Just like driving a car, sir.
All right. Thank you. That's what I want to get at. Appreciate it. So this ammunition is common,
Mm-hmm.
correct?
Absolutely.
What about the brand? The CC?
CCI is your number 1 seller.
Okay. So is that a common brand for you to sell in this
Yes,
area?
sir.
And you're not the only gun
Absolutely
shop?
not.
Do you have any indication that other gun shops around the area are any difference in terms of the volumes of guns and types of guns, ammunition they sell?
I have never walked in another gun shop in Muskegon County, so I could not tell you.
Okay. And you guys never have a beer together or anything like that?
I wish we would, but we don't.
Okay. Do you know of any reason why they would be different for other
I
folks?
would not think it would be any different.
Okay, thank you. Let's talk about that sight, that laser sight.
Yes, sir.
Again, you haven't been here, but for most of us, our reference for laser sights is we watch movies and see TV and the little red dot that appears on a person when they aim a gun. Is that what we're talking about here?
It's very similar, yes, sir.
Okay. And are those common as well?
Yes, sir.
In fact, all the 20, well, the one you sold here was sold with the sight. Is that
This
correct?
particular one was, yes, sir.
And another silly question, because obviously that sight can be detached. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Are there other types of similar sights, sights that require different batteries or different sizes or different locations?
Numerous.
Okay. And those can all be bought aftermarket?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Foster, the sight cover that you've been shown, is there any way to link that cover with the laser it came with? In other words, is there a serial number inside the cover and inside the laser so you can put the two together?
It is a Carl Walters cover for a Walters laser, but to link the two together, I could not.
Okay. And it's your knowledge that that particular sight, the one that came with that gun, housed 3 batteries, correct?
By memory, yes, sir. I had that particular laser is a little older generation, but by memory, yes, 3 of the small watch batteries.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Foster. I don't have any further questions.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, Judge, just give me 1 second. I have at least 1 follow-up, I may have 2. Okay. One question.
Yes, sir.
You don't have to be a marksman or an expert shooter, the closer you get to a target. Is that?
Absolutely true.
I mean, I don't shoot guns very often, but if I'm standing right here,
I would not even aim.
I mean, I'm gonna get you probably, right?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. I have nothing else.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fox.
Thank you, sir.
Stand now. Next witness, please.
Thank you, Judge. People of the state of Michigan call Gwen Mogenberg to the stand.
Please raise your right hand. Swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Please have a seat. State your name for the record.
Guinevere Mogenberg.
Good morning, Ms. Mogenberg.
Morning.
Who do you work for?
Herman Miller.
And what is your responsibility at Herman Miller?
I'm the Human Resources Manager for our Spring Lake campus.
Okay. Now, does that mean that you kind of keep track of, or I guess let me ask you this way. Does Herman Miller in its normal course of business keep records of employees, time in, time out, as well as time off requests?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Can you verify for us, did the defendant, Geoffrey Willis, work for Herman Miller?
He did.
And over what course of time period did he work?
He started with us in July of 1999 until 2016.
Okay. And at some point in time, did he move to third shift?
He was a third shift employee, yes.
Okay. And there's been some testimony that he worked for a period of time with a coworker by the name of Michelle Schnotala. Is that accurate?
It is accurate, yes.
Okay. Now, I've asked you this probably, I don't know, a dozen times, but can you explain to the jury how work week works for third shifters?
Certainly. A third shift employee will begin their weekly shift on a Sunday evening, typically around 9:45 in the evening, and then they end on the following day at 5:45 in the morning.
Okay. And that work week goes from when to when?
We still call it Monday through Friday. However, they start on a Sunday night and end on a Friday morning.
Okay. So a third shift person, as you indicated, starts their work week Sunday night at 9:45 and works their normal shift, and their work week ends Friday morning at 5:45.
Correct.
And that gives them essentially Friday. And do they work Saturday then?
Only if overtime is scheduled.
Okay. So a Saturday would be a normal day off.
Correct.
I guess you can count Friday during the day if you're awake, essentially.
True.
Okay. So from Friday morning, 5:45 to Sunday evening, that person has they're off, essentially.
Correct.
Okay. Now, you were asked to look at the time, the work time for the defendant, in this case, for a couple of different dates. Is that correct?
Yes.
First, I want to talk to you about his work schedule that includes April 25th and 26th of 2013. What did you discover for that, please?
We discovered that on Friday, April 26, 2013, Mr. Willis had a vacation day. So that would mean he did not clock into work on the Thursday night for his Friday work shift.
Okay. So he took a vacation day, didn't come in Thursday night, and then did he report then back to work, I guess would be that Sunday at 9:30 or 9:45 or whatever it was?
I believe he did, yes.
Okay. Now, you're also asked to look at the week of March 4th. Is that correct?
Yes, I was.
Okay. I'm going to do that a little bit different. I'm going to show you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 208. Could you describe for the jury what that is, please?
This is the record of timekeeping for Michelle Schnotala Adams.
And what's the second page?
Timekeeping for Geoffrey Willis.
And what time period are we talking about?
This shows the week beginning Monday, March 4th, 2013 through Saturday, March 9th, 2013.
All right. And that document, does it indicate, was Ms. Schnotala working her regular shift that week?
According to the records, it appears that she was working her regular shift plus an hour early every evening.
Okay, so she put an hour early in every evening of overtime?
Yes.
All right. Same question for the defendant, Mr. Willis, that week.
The records would show he did work his Monday shift, but then was absent from work Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday that week.
Okay. So essentially had time off.
Correct.
And is that particular time, those two time records, are those records normally kept in the course of business at Herman Miller?
Yes, they are.
Your Honor, I move for the omission of People's Exhibit 208.
No objection, Your Honor.
Received.
Now, I want to show you one other thing. It's been testified that, give me 1 second. It's been testified to that part of the defendant's responsibilities was a material handler, access to what folks needed on the floor. Is that what your records indicate?
Yes.
And I show you People's Exhibit, I believe that's 75? Oops. Okay. There we go. 76. People's Exhibit 76. In particular, those blue kind of nitrile gloves. Is that something that Herman Miller would use or have?
We do carry many, many different kinds of gloves, but we do and have had in the past blue nitrile gloves, yes.
Okay. For whatever reason the employees need.
Correct.
Okay. So is it safe to say the defendant, given his employment, would have access to that?
He could have.
Okay. There are no further questions of this over.
Good morning, Ms. Mogenberg.
Good morning.
My name is Fred Johnson. A couple more questions. Exhibit 76 is there that you're looking at. The blue nitrile gloves, do you know if there's anything unusual about them than the ones you could buy at the hardware store or the grocery store?
I am certainly not a glove expert, no.
Okay, I figured that. Good answer. You were told to look at my client's work record on March 4 to March 9, 2013. Is that correct?
Correct.
Do your records indicate why he missed those days, or doesn't?
They do not.
Okay. We've received information that on June 29th, 2014, Rebecca Bletch was shot. Were you asked to look at my client's work record on that day?
I was at one point in time, yes.
What did you find out? Did he work that day?
He did work that day.
Thank you. No further questions.
What time did he show up for work that day?
May I look and see if
You
I have
may.
that record? I don't have the record in front of me. May I recall from memory?
Yes, you may.
I recall that he clocked in on time, which would have been close to that 9:45 start time.
Okay. So 9:45 p.m.
Correct.
All right. Thank you. I have nothing else.
That's the reason is 9:45. That's when he clocks in. That's when he punches in.
Correct.
So you don't know how long he'd been on the premises. For instance, he got there and went to the restroom or talked with some co-workers or anything along those before he punched in. You just know he punched in at 9:45.
All our records would indicate is that a swipe badge would have been used at the approximate start time of 9:45.
Okay. Did the swipe badge go off when you go through on the premises, or does it go when you start your shift?
It depends whenever the person actually manually swipes their badge.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I think we're all set. Thank you.
Thank you. You may see now. Next witness, please.
People of the state of Michigan call Detective Lisa Ferris to the stand.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Do.
Please have a seat. State your name for the record.
Lisa Ferris, detective with the Muskegon County Sheriff's Department.
How long have you been with the Sheriff's Department?
Been with the Sheriff's Department for 16 years. The last 8 years have been with the Detective Bureau.
And back on June 29th, 2014, around the 6 o'clock hour, were you, I guess, called in to assist the investigation?
Yes, I was called in that night.
Now, when you were called, where did you go?
I responded to the 4300 block of Automobile Road.
Okay. And by the time you got there, can you just kind of describe the scene?
Yes, there were medical responders already on scene. Pro-Med ambulance was there. I'd observed a couple of blood stains on the west shoulder of the roadway. My attention was drawn to a .22 caliber spent casing that was in the southbound lane of the road, as well as some belongings that were on the east shoulder of the roadway.
Now, you've been sitting with me this entire trial. I'm not going to go over those photographs, but the photographs that we've gone through as far as the scene is concerned, is that what you recall seeing?
Yes.
Okay. And did you get an opportunity to observe or at least take a look at the victim, in this case, Rebecca Bletch?
Yes, when I arrived on scene, Rebecca Bletch had already been identified, and she was in the ambulance with the medical examiner investigator.
Okay. Now let's talk about some of the things that you did, in particular the cell phone, the victim's cell phone. You recall working with that?
Yes.
And can you describe for the jury what you did with that, please?
I'm certified in mobile forensics and have been since 2011, specifically with Celebrite forensic software. So the phone was turned over to me from Detective Harris that night, looking for any information as to how she was killed, or why she ended up where she was. With mobile forensics, the first thing is you have to preserve the information on that device, and that device being Rebecca Bletch's cell phone. And then also acquire the information, and that's done with an extraction or an image, a copy of that information. And from there, once we get that copy, we can further analyze the data.
All right. So let's talk about I'm assuming you were kind of focused in on June 29th of 2014.
That's correct.
And can you describe what you discovered as far as incoming calls to that phone on that particular time?
Yes, one of the last incoming calls, and this would be a call that was actually answered by Rebecca Bletch. That was a number of 231-750-0532, which was identified as her daughter's cell phone number, and that was at 5:59 p.m. on the 29th.
Okay. Were you able to discover any outgoing calls? In other words, any calls that Rebecca made prior to the phone not being in operation?
Yes, there were some. The last outgoing phone call was also to her daughter, and that was at 3:52 for 2 seconds. So it's very possible that she could have reached her voicemail.
Okay. Around that 6 o'clock hour, then there were no outgoing calls. In other words, is there any was there any evidence on the phone that it would indicate that Rebecca had made any outgoing calls prior to her being shot?
No.
Okay. How about texts?
There were some texts and some missed calls. None that would indicate, have any indication of why or how she died.
Okay. So essentially, at least from the phone calls and the text messages, that didn't lead you as the detective in the case anywhere closer to making any kind of discoveries.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, were you also able to, through yourself or through the assistance of the computer crimes folks, look at earbud usage?
Yes. So when I first performed the extraction on Rebecca's phone, I did one of the quicker extractions. It's called a logical extraction. It's basically what you see is what you get, the live data that's on your phone. And then once I discovered there was nothing to go by on that, I then performed the more thorough physical extraction. And with everything else going on, I ended up just sending that physical extraction to the Michigan State Police Computer Crimes Unit to be further analyzed. Some of the information that came back that was different from what I'd seen before was usage with the headphone port on her phone.
Now, just if you can describe it, fine. If you can't, that's okay. Maybe have Mr. McCarthy describe it. But when we're talking about that, is the phone recording when the earphones are plugged in, pulled out? How does that work?
So as there's application usage on the phone, or I guess not just application usage, but other type of usage on the phone, the phone will then record. This is specific to this make and model. It will record whether or not that headphone port is in use.
And did that, I guess, deeper dive as you described it, indicate when the headphones were last used?
Yes. So it appears with the activity recorded, it was first recorded that the earphone was plugged in at 5:41 p.m. And the last usage was recorded at 6:02 p.m. And there was a gap at 6 p.m., which would be consistent with Ellie calling and her unplugging it and speaking with her at that time.
Okay. So the earphones are being plugged in at 5:41. And I think you've indicated there was interruption because of a phone call coming in.
Yes,
And then the last usage of those earphones is 6:02 p.m.
that's correct.
Okay. Now, could you describe, because this investigation went on for several months, safe to say?
Yes.
Now, prior to the discovery of the defendant, can you just describe to the jury kind of what you did during that time frame?
Okay, I think before we get into that, we'll take our moment break.
Okay.
I think this was going to be on for some time.
A few more minutes, yeah.
Okay, so let's take a moment. Okay. Ferris is on the witness stand. You may continue your examination, Mr.
Thank you, Judge. Detective, I think when we left for the break, I had asked you the question about going over kind of what you and other investigators were doing in an attempt to find out who killed Rebecca, and I'm talking about everything prior to the discovery of the defendant.
Okay, so going from the scene, after that night, the next morning, we implemented a multi-agency task force. Many different agencies came in to help us gather information and try and identify Rebecca Bletch's killer.
Excuse me, Detective. Your Honor, I'm going to raise an irrelevance objection at this point. I don't understand the relevance of describing the task forces that were used, et cetera. So I'll raise a relevance objection.
Well, Judge, I mean, we're talking about the death of Rebecca Bletch, so I think it's kind of relevant that the detective at least explained to the jury that they weren't just sitting around twiddling their thumbs for months. They were actually going out there trying to find who killed her. I found that extremely relevant, given the fact that we're talking about charges involving Rebecca Bletch.
Okay. I'll allow limited inquiry on this, but not to any extent.
All right. Reader's Digest version, detective.
Okay. So this task force went on for about 3 months. Whole process, talking to people, interviewing people, gathering as much evidence as we could to try and identify who killed Rebecca Bletch. After those 3 months, the case was never put aside. Someone was constantly looking into different possible leads, investigating tips, collecting evidence. And
So, is it safe to say over the many months, you were trying to follow up on as many leads as you could? Is that fair to say?
that's correct.
You were involving other agencies within the county. Is that accurate?
Yes, it is.
And you're also, I'm assuming you were also communicating or sending pieces to the lab if you thought that this might be necessary to do some sort of analysis, forensic analysis of some kind?
Yes, all throughout the investigation we did.
Okay. The one question I have for you is that during that time period, and that's a relatively lengthy time period, correct? We're talking about June 29th, 2014, really up until the arrest of the defendant, May 17th of 2016, right?
Yes, almost 2 years.
At any point in time during the time frame that you're investigating that, during that time frame, did Kevin Bloom ever come up?
No.
Was his name ever mentioned?
Kevin Bloom's name was never mentioned during those 2 years.
Was there any piece of evidence that was pointing you in that direction?
Never.
In fact, is it safe to say that during that time frame, did you have any solid suspects?
No, we never had a solid suspect during that time before Willis.
Let's talk a little bit about April 16th, 2016, the abduction of MJN. Were you part of that investigative team?
Yes, I was.
And in particular, I just want, so that we offer some explanation. Okay. Give me 1 second. People's Exhibit 94. What are we looking at in this photograph?
This is the intersection of River and Weber Road.
Okay. And this intersection is important. Why?
This is where MJN was approximately walking when the defendant had approached her.
Now, we're looking, this is looking north on Weber.
Yes, it's looking north.
And the significance of Weber in relation to this is what?
On Weber is the Sidoni Blueberry Fields, which is where the video was obtained from.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, can you see some of the buildings of that Blueberry Field in this picture?
Yes, you can, on the west side there.
Okay. And approximately how far is the intersection, or the intersection from the Blueberry Farm?
It's approximately 2/10 of a mile from River Road to the North Drive.
Okay. The next photograph is People's Exhibit 95. What is that photograph?
This is a picture from the Blueberry Farm, looking south on Weber Road toward River. This is on the North Drive.
Okay. And these are photographs that you took?
Yes,
So in the distance of that photograph is the intersection, or is River Road, is that right?
that's correct.
All right. Finally, People's Exhibit 96. Sorry, next page. What is this?
This is just north of the South Drive, up the Blueberry Farm.
All right. Now, let's talk about what you worked on after the discovery of the defendant and his arrest. In particular, I want to talk to you or ask questions to you about your work in conjunction with the Computer Crimes Unit and some passwords.
Okay, there was a document turned over to me from Specialist Jerry McCarthy, and the document name was passwords1.doc. It contained many usernames for different various accounts.
Okay. One of those accounts was one of those accounts, I should say, eBay.
Yes.
And as a result, Detective, what did you do?
I had subpoenas drafted for most of those accounts, including eBay.
Okay. And you were subpoenaing what?
I was subpoenaing the records for the accounts that were listed on that document.
Okay. Detective, I'm going to hand you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 209, 210, and 211. So we'll start with 209. Can you describe what that document is, please?
This is a document I received back from eBay as a response to the search warrant. It lists the account information for the username that was subpoenaed, which is God Part, the number 2.
All right. And does that document from eBay indicate who that belongs to?
Yes, the user information comes back to Geoffrey T. Willis. It lists the landline for the Willis household, 231-777-0070, as well as the 1842 self-Sheridan address.
All right. And were you able to obtain from eBay a list of items that username, that individual had purchased through eBay?
Yes.
Okay. And could you describe then, please, what is in People's Exhibit 211?
So what's listed on here is an
Let me ask you, what is it?
Oh, this is a document that lists all items won by this user, God Part 2.
Okay. Was there anything of significance on that list that caught your attention?
Yes, there was.
What was that?
There was an item 1 that is described as new compact safe, 0.05 cubic feet mini storage. This was purchased on April 8th, 2014.
And why was that significant for you?
Because I was aware the gun that was recovered from the defendant's vehicle was stored in a safe described as a 0.05 cubic feet lockbox.
Okay. And the other information you have are People's, I guess, I'm sorry, I missed.
211?
211. Yeah, 211. Which is, 210 is that document, 211 is what?
This is, we also had subpoenaed records for all of the defendant's PayPal transactions and user account information. This is the PayPal response to that subpoena with the user information.
Okay. And that document from PayPal, it tells us what?
This tells us that the account HillaryN08@yahoo.com is attached to the name Geoffrey Willis, and also lists the landline phone number and the 1842 South Sheridan Drive address.
So as you walk through this, the safe comes from eBay, and how is it paid?
It's paid through his PayPal account.
And, I'm sorry, go ahead.
This PayPal account.
Now, and I'm assuming, well, you already indicated that God Part 2 was on this passwords document.
That's correct.
How about the PayPal information? Was that on that document as well?
PayPal was also on that document.
With that username?
Yes.
Okay. All right, handing you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 212. Describe what that is, please.
This is a statement from the defendant's First General Credit Union checking account.
And why is that particular statement important?
This statement covers the time frame of the eBay transaction and also the PayPal transaction. It shows the withdrawal from the checking account going into the PayPal account to pay for the purchase from eBay.
Okay. So, essentially, were you able to kind of follow the transaction? There was a paper trail.
Yes.
And the conclusion being that the safe found underneath the driver's seat with the handgun is what we're talking about. Okay?
That's correct.
Now, did you also do some work, or do some, I guess, some either search warrant or subpoena work with Meyer?
Yes, I did.
All right, and can you describe that, please, for that process?
I contacted corporate analysts from Myers, and they provided me essentially a spreadsheet of all transactions connected to the defendant's credit card, Meyer Perks accounts, everything that was connected to the defendant.
Okay. All right, handing you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 213. What that is, please.
This is the spreadsheet I received from Meyer.
And what does it indicate? Or I guess, what of significance on that spreadsheet was of interest to you?
There is an item listed. It's described as Meyer brand lubricating jelly. And the date on that is February 13th of 2013. And the reason that's significant is because I was aware that the same brand lubricating jelly was found inside the defendant's van in the toolbox.
All right. Part of the testimony we had yesterday from Sergeant Flowers.
That's correct.
Okay. Yesterday, Detective, I just want to back up just so we make sure we get this in evidence. Yesterday we had testimony about a blue or purple fingernail. You call that?
Yes, I do.
214. Handing you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 214. What is that?
It's a blue artificial fingernail, broken. This is my writing. I packaged it. This was discovered on Green Creek in the area of the abduction of MJN.
Okay. So that was the I think we saw some photograph of that yesterday at some point in time.
Yes, we did.
Is that the picture is what is in that particular?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Detective, you assisted, or let me ask you this, as part of the search of Mr. Willis's property, what was your role?
I was at the 1842 Sheridan House on May 17th, 2016, and executing the search warrant at his residence that day.
Okay. And did you assist in, what areas did you assist in the search?
All throughout the house, the shed, and also helping log the evidence on the return.
Okay. Exhibit 184 is what?
This is a Sony green canvas bag. It was found in the upper area of the shed on the property.
Okay. And do you recall discovering that or finding that?
Yes, I had some assistance in getting it down from above, but I recall it being found.
Okay. Now, in particular, there are a few items in that bag I want to talk to you about. All right, I'm going to hand you what's marked as 215. You don't need to open it up, Detective, but that bag, what is that particular exhibit, what does it contain?
These are some of the items that were found inside the green Sony canvas bag.
Okay. Of particular interest, is there a camera battery that was part of that?
That's correct.
Okay. 216. What is that?
This is a micro cassette tape, Olympus brand. It was found inside the green Sony canvas bag from the shed.
Now, that particular tape, earlier in this case, we heard a recording of Corporal Chris Hare calling the residents. Recall that?
Yes, I do.
Is that on that particular tape?
Yes, that's correct.
And that was found where?
It was found in the green bag in the upper area of the shed, in the upper portion of the shed.
Okay. Okay. Handing you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 217. What is that, Detective?
This is an owner's manual for the Century Safe Compact Security Box, model P005C.
And that Century Safe is which one?
This would be the one that the gun was found in inside Willis's van under the driver's seat.
And do you recall where that was found?
This was found inside the Willis residence in a larger safe, inside that safe in the utility room.
In your search of the areas, now you indicated you searched both inside the house and in the shed. Did you find a toy gun?
No, there's no toy gun located in the house.
Did you, in your search of both locations, did you find a airsoft gun?
No, we did not.
In the search of those locations, did you personally find any fake gun of any kind?
No.
Now, no, I just have a last couple questions. Well, let me do this, Judge. Before I ask her last two questions, I would move to admit start from the beginning here. People's Exhibit 209, which is the eBay subscriber information. I would also move to admit Exhibit 210, which is the eBay items list. I would also move to admit 211, which is the PayPal subscriber information. 212 is the bank account transaction sheet. 213 is the Meyer, I guess, list, including purchase of lubricating jelly. Let's see, it's 12. 213, oops, that was 213. 214, oh, it's right here. Oh, jeez. 214 is the fingernail recovered by Detective Ferris. Broken fingernail, I should say. 215 is the accessories taken from the green camera bag, which is already admitted into evidence. 216 is the micro cassettes taken from the green camera bag. And 217 is the Century Safe Owner's Manual.
While you're on exhibits 209, eBay account, and 210, eBay, I think that's the list of items one, and then the 211 is eBay pay account.
Right ahead.
All right. Good morning, Detective.
Good morning.
You found that material, the eBay stuff, based on passwords that you found at my classroom, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Was there anything about those passwords that indicated to you that they could not have been shared? In other words, were these things exclusive, like I can't give someone else my fingerprint, but I can give someone else my password if I want to? Was there anything that indicated that that those passwords were not shared with anyone else?
I can't say that.
Okay. I have no further questions, and I have no objection to the addition of those documents and evidence.
All right, 208, 209 rather, through 217 are admitted.
Thank you, Judge. Last couple questions. During the course of this investigation, which certainly started in June of 2014, continued on, but certainly continued after the arrest of the defendant May of 2016. Accurate?
That's correct.
And that included looking at what other investigations as part of that. In other words, we had the Rebecca Bletch investigation, and what other investigations were part of that overall picture that investigators?
The other two investigations included the disappearance of Jessica Herringa, and then the abduction of MJN.
And certainly, after the defendant was arrested, did the name Kevin Bloom come up?
After the defendant was arrested?
Yes.
Yes.
And were you, as investigators, able to determine where Mr. Bloom was on the night that Jessica Herringa went missing?
Yes, we were.
Where?
He was in Grand Haven at a state park for his daughter's sand soccer tournament.
You didn't hear my question. When Jessica Herringa went.
Oh, sorry. He was working that day.
He was working that day.
Yes.
All right. And similarly, did you as investigators, were you able to determine or confirm where Mr. Bloom was at the time of Rebecca Bletch's homicide?
Yes.
Where?
That was the Grand Haven State Park for his daughter's sand soccer tournament that day.
Thank you. I have nothing else.
Good morning again, Detective. What is the basis of your determination that Mr. Bloom was at a soccer tournament on the 29th of June?
I viewed some photos with him in the photos with his family watching that tournament.
And were you able to determine what time and date the tournament was actually played?
Yes, it actually went all day long. The last game started at 5 p.m., lasted nearly an hour. I was told it actually went into overtime. Following that, there was a ceremony.
Was there any indication that once the person arrived at the tournament, they couldn't leave?
They all arrived there in the same vehicle.
I understand that, but once the person arrived in a vehicle, was there any indication that they were locked in and they couldn't get in their vehicle and leave if they wanted to at any point? And maybe even come back if they wanted to?
If someone wanted to leave, they could leave.
Thank you. I don't have any further questions for this witness at this time, Your Honor. However, I will inform the court that we may be calling her on our case.
Okay, thank you. You may stand down.
Thank you.
Give me 1 second just to confirm it. Judge, I was just conferring with Mr. Johnson on a couple of witnesses that neither he or I are going to feel it necessary to testify. One is Sergeant Chris Brevet. He wasn't scheduled to testify until probably tomorrow. The other is Trooper Investigator Jeff Hoffman, both from the Computer Crimes Unit. The other witness that neither he nor I feel is necessary to call because that information has already been given to the jury is Officer Ryan Henson. So I'm striking those via stipulation with Mr. Johnson.
Okay.
That's correct, John.
All right. That being said, I will call, the people called Specialist Jerry McCarthy to the stand. And I'll let the jury know we're going to go back to the monitor here, so if you want to. You're right.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please have a seat. State your name for the record.
My name is Gerald McCarthy. Last name is spelled McCarthy.
Good morning, Mr. McCarthy.
Good morning.
What department do you work for?
I work for the Michigan State Police.
And in particular, what division are you assigned?
I'm assigned to the Computer Crime Unit at the Grand Rapids office. We have several offices. I'm assigned to the Grand Rapids office.
And in order to get that assignment, let's talk a little bit about your education. How are you educated, sir?
Well, I've been a computer forensic examiner for over 10 years. I've had over 1,800 hours of training in the last 10 years and have been assigned to do computer forensics for at least 10 years now. So I've received several certificates in different organizations certifying me as a computer forensic examiner, including Eastern Michigan University's School of Computer Forensic Science. And that was a 2-semester class that I went to at Eastern Michigan and obtained their certification in computer forensics. Also obtained federal certification with the Federal Law Enforcement Information Center in Georgia for the computer forensics class that they put on. So I've been to different classes for software training for computer forensics and have done over 1,000 computer forensic examinations.
And just in a general sense, Mr. McCarthy, when we talk about computer forensics, what are we talking about? What are you learning and what are you doing?
Well, we're doing digital evidence examinations. So it might be a computer, it might be a cell phone, it might be a tablet. With today's society, it's a digital world that we live in, and people often have a digital device, either a computer, a laptop, or a tablet. So my job is to examine those devices when they come into us. We have special software that we use for examination. We have special hardware devices that we use to assist us in the examination of those digital items.
Now, you indicated you've been doing this now for about 10 years, if I heard you correctly.
Yes, I have.
And that has included, in that 10 years, if I heard you right, you classified thousands of examinations of electronic devices.
That is correct.
You're certified.
Yes, sir.
Have you ever testified in court as an expert before in this area?
Yes, I have. I've testified here in Muskegon County, Kent County, several different counties. We work the western and central Michigan area. Last week I was up in Isabella County and testified as an expert. I've testified as an expert in federal court for criminal cases in the federal court in Grand Rapids. I've testified in the state of Iowa as an expert in computer forensics. So I've testified a number of times.
And each
Let me
time,
just- Excuse me, can everybody on the jury hear the witness? Okay, okay, as long as you can hear him speaking rather softly.
maybe speak up just a little bit.
Yes, sir.
Or you can speak into the PA mic.
Yeah, just a
The
little.
jury can hear him.
Yeah, that's the important
all
part.
I-
I agree. Each time that you've testified in court, have you been qualified as an expert?
Yes, I have.
All right. Your Honor, I would move to admit Specialist McCarthy as an expert in computer forensics.
Do I hear you, Your Honor?
Okay.
Is it Detective McCarthy?
No, I'm a civilian with Michigan State Police. I'm a digital forensic analyst is my title with the Michigan State Police.
Thank you. And obviously you work for the state police,
Yes.
and you've been called to testify approximately as an expert. Approximately how many times?
Dozens of times. I don't recall the exact number.
Do you have any idea how many times you were called as a defense expert? In other words, the defense called you as opposed to a prosecutor?
The defense, I guess I'm not quite understanding your question.
Okay. You were called this morning as a witness for the state, correct? The prosecutor?
That is correct.
How many times have you been called as a witness for the defendant in the cases that you've testified as an expert?
I have never.
Okay. So when you, now are you as a member of the Michigan State Police, at least on their staff, correct?
Yes.
Are your services provided as part of a contract, or are you a full-time employee with those folks?
I'm a full-time employee with Michigan State Police.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions. I do not object to Dr. Cole.
All right. You may proceed to examination expert.
Thank you, Judge. All right, so I'm going to gather a couple of things that I want to show you that I know you did some examination on. But I know that you, in a general sense, when you receive things to analyze, and you kind of talked about it, but maybe a little bit more specifically, what is it that you do in order to, first of all, protect the information inside, and also maybe describe in a general sense how you try to verify ownership, or use, I should say.
Sure. And it depends on the device itself that we take in. For an example, if we take in a computer, we examine that computer. We remove the hard drive or the data drive from within a laptop or a tower or a desktop computer. And we take that device, the hard drive that stores all the information then, and we make what we call a forensic copy of that. When you turn on a computer or turn off a computer, you're making several thousand changes. So we don't want to make any changes to any of the digital evidence that we examine. So when we remove the hard drive, what we do is we connect it to a hardware write blocking system to prevent any writes to the original evidence. We never want to change any original evidence. So we make a bit-by-bit stream copy of the original drive onto another drive, a forensic drive on a forensic machine, and then we work our examination off the forensic image of that drive. So we never touch the actual digital evidence and make any changes.
All right, we're going to kind of work, we're trying to sift through all this evidence here, so I'm going to kind of work a little bit out of order here, Mr. McCarthy. Let's start with what's been marked as People's Exhibit 179 and 186, two external hard drives. Let's start with 179 first. Is that a piece of evidence that you examined?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And the first question I have for you is, There was a second external hard drive found, which is 186. Did you look at that one as well?
Yes, I did.
And what, if any, significance did you learn as to the relationship to both of those external hard drives?
Both of these external hard drives, which were Western Digital My Passport external hard drives, both of these had been plugged into the main computer that was located in Mr. Willis's bedroom. What a hard drive, just like a thumb drive or a flash drive, does when you plug it into a computer, it leaves some information behind on that computer that it was plugged into a USB port on that particular computer. So what I was able to determine that these two Western Digital external hard drives, which are basically used as storage devices to back up systems sometimes so you don't lose anything, we're both plugged into the main computer located in Mr. Willis's bedroom at his house.
Okay. And was there any different information found on either one of these two devices?
They weren't exact, but a lot of the same images, videos, and information was on both of them.
Okay. So is it okay to classify one as a copy of another?
As a backup or a copy of another, that would be a fair statement.
Okay. Before we get into the meat of what's in there, I'm going to hand you what's marked as Exhibit 182. That flash drive, is that something that you had examined?
Yes, this was a Kingston data drive, thumb drive, a flash drive, a 2 gigabyte in size, and this was another item that I examined.
And starting with that flash drive, do you recall there's been some recent testimony about a password document? Was that located on that particular flash drive?
Yes, it was.
And just in general, I don't necessarily need you to get into specifics, but in general, were you able to determine who that password document might belong to?
Yes, I was.
Okay, and how did you do that?
From the information, I believe that the document itself was called passwords1.doc. It was a Microsoft Word document, and it had a list of usernames and passwords on there for several different websites, email addresses, bank accounts, and that information showed that it belonged to Geoffrey Willis.
Okay. Now, let's talk about your examination of the digital hard drives, the Western Digital. In particular, let's start with, I think you've already indicated that you were able to determine that both of those hard drives had been attached to the computer at one point in time in the found in the master bedroom.
That's correct. All three of these devices had been plugged into the computer.
All three. And for record purposes, that's the ASUS tower?
The ASUS desktop tower in the bedroom, yes.
Now, before I ask you about content here, are you able to determine like how many times a device is plugged in, or does it just record the last time?
It just records the last time it was plugged into the computer.
So you can't, I mean, there isn't a forensic program out there that indicates this was plugged in this many times or on this date?
Not that I'm aware of, there is not, no.
Okay. Now, let's talk about the external hard drive for a second. In particular, your discovery of a particular folder.
Yes.
Okay. And I've got some visuals here.
Okay.
So that's going to be People's Exhibit 97. What are we looking at here?
We're looking at a folder that was on the Western Digital external hard drive. That would be on Exhibit 80, People's Exhibit 83 and 86.
It'll be the 100.
Right.
There's a couple of-
Okay, 179 and 186.
Correct.
And that contained a folder, and it was a user-created folder that's titled by the user. Computer doesn't make that name. And the name of that folder was VICS, V-I-C-S.
All right. And contained in that main folder, contained in that main folder, were there any subfolders?
Yes, there were.
All right. What did you find?
There's 3 subfolders within that folder, and these are, again, user-created folders that somebody would title a folder or subfolder. And those all had specific letters or names.
Okay. I want to focus in on the subfolder titled RSB with the letters and the number.
Okay?
Were you able to determine or figure out what RSB plus the FC plus C14, what that turned out to be?
Yes, we were able to decode that.
Okay. Explain how you did that.
What we did was we took the, after the RSB, we took the letters and exchanged them to numbers. So for instance, A equaling 1, B equaling 2, C equaling 3 in the alphabet up through the letter Z, which is the 26th letter, the Z being 26, we were able to decode that as F, the letter F being 6, the letter Z being 26, being the 26th letter in the alphabet. And then we had the plus sign with the letter C. So if you take those letters, change them into numbers, it would be 6 for the F, Z 26, plus 3 equals 29, and then the number 14.
And were you able to determine what the R, S, and B stood for?
The RSB are the initials for Rebecca Sue Bletch.
So Rebecca Sue Bletch subfolder, and in parentheses 6/29/2014.
That is correct.
Okay. And were you able to determine when that VIX folder was created?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Tell the jury that.
And the created date of the VIX folder was on 7/1/2014.
And I think you indicated this, but that big folder, the VIX folder, contained those 3 subfolders.
That is correct.
And just for completion, did you do the same analysis on the JLH subfolder?
I did.
Okay, and just describe that, please.
We took the same thing for the JLH as we did with the RSB, and then we see the DZ13. If you take the D, which would equal the number 4, the Z26, and then the 13 would equal April 26th of 2013.
All right. I want to take a deeper look in the RSB subfolder. So if we'll flip to the next example here. This is People's Exhibit 98. When you opened up the RSB subfolder, what did you find?
I found a number of pictures of Rebecca Bletch. I found 2 PDF documents, and then there was a what we call a HTML or HTML file, which is a saved web page, where if you were looking on the internet and there was a specific web page that you wanted to save, you can do that with just about all your internet browsers by making several clicks, going to the file, saving it as, and it saves a web page as a HTML or HTML file, so you can open that page up later. You would not necessarily even have to be on the internet because it saves it as a document where you can open and you don't have to even be online.
Now, was there at least one image that you were uncertain as to whether or not it was Miss Bletch?
Yes, there was.
Which one was that?
That was the,
You've got there's a pointer, it's right here. It's up on the screen behind you.
the 123 underscore 1 underscore 3 dot JPEG was an image that
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I couldn't understand the witness as he spoke that last.
I'm sorry, I turned around when I said that. The image titled 123.
You can stand up and point to it if that.
Sure. 123.13. This image right here did not appear to be Rebecca Bletch.
And where did that image come from?
The image was located in another folder under back page that was on that same external hard drive.
Okay. Okay. Now let's talk about, so within the VIX big folder and the RSB subfolder, this is what you find.
That is correct.
Okay. Let's talk about some of the other things you find on these external hard drives for a second. In particular, do you find any videos of interest to you?
Yes.
All right. Can you describe that for the jury, please?
Well, there was thousands and thousands of videos that had been saved on these external hard drives. They were saved in different folders and subfolders. There's literally hundreds and hundreds of folders. They were all user-created folders, meaning that.
Excuse me, Mr. Carter. I'd like to pose an objection for the record, Your Honor. I believe we've covered this material in terms of prior motions and whatnot, but our objection to this material being listed is continuing. Like that.
Judge, we've already argued this. The court's already ruled that this is relevant when it comes in.
Okay, your objection, your continuing objection is notice that you agree I didn't make a prior ruling.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
So the thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of videos on these external hard drives were examined and viewed, and there was a consistent theme with these videos. There's kind of a four-part consistent theme to these videos. They involve the kidnapping and abducting of women. These women, after they were kidnapped and abducted, were restrained with ropes, with chains, with handcuffs. They were bound. They were restrained sometimes even with a black head device that goes around the head with a red ball that goes into the mouth to prevent a person from screaming. They were violently raped and tortured in these videos. And the end result is they were murdered. The murder occurred in several different methods, several different means, which included shooting a gun, gunshot wounds. They were stabbed. They were drowned in a bathtub. They were suffocated with placing a plastic bag over their head and duct taping their neck so they couldn't breathe. They were burned. They were hung. They were strangled. They were beaten. And they were choked to death. I can sum up the videos as the most horrifying, gruesome, and brutal
Objection.
That is clearly, I sustain the objection.
Fair enough.
The jury disregarded the witness's characterization.
Fair enough. Mr. McCarthy, I think you indicated to the jury that we're not talking about one or two images or videos.
No, we're talking thousands, over 10,000.
Do you recall observing a video titled "The Jogger"
Yes, I did.
amongst this?
Yes, I did.
And could you describe for the jury that video? I feel it unnecessary to play it, but I'd ask for your description.
Sure. This was one of the videos on both the external hard drives that was saved to these devices. The title of the video, when you start it, is called The Jogger. It's an 11-minute, 31-second video that was created on these devices on March the 8th of 2014. The video shows
Okay, let's stop right there. And, we're going to take our break for lunch at this point. The jury is excused. We'll come back at 1:30. You're not to talk about the case with anyone. You're not to have any discussion with anyone involved in the case. You're not to read, listen to, or view any media accounts of this event. We'll resume at 1:30. And you may stand down, and I'd like